Rob Marciano, ABC News. Rob, I hope you're okay. Get some ice on that. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Hampshire. Jack Heath. And we're looking at a nice, clear Monday, but some of the roads out there, the side roads, still a little slippery from a real storm. I'll tell you on the coast, seacoast of New Hampshire, right up into Portland or seacoast of Maine, some areas more than a foot of snow. Didn't really wind down until last night, about 7 o'clock or so. And of course, we're broadcasting right up into Maine and across our region on our network of news talk stations, including WTSN, Seacoast of New Hampshire, right up into Maine. And of course, thousands of you streaming, listening on the Pulse of an H nationally. Good morning, New Hampshire. Jack Heath, J Dog on the boards. J Dog, it might be an interesting Monday coming up as we get going in terms of the NFL. We'll come back to that. But signs that the New Hampshire, the first real votes in the country, are not that far away. 15 days to go, pretty much. College convention getting underway. That's one big sign. We have a great newsmaker out of the gate. And get this one national story over the weekend. The Democrat National Committee, a couple of their bosses, and they act like kind of like organized crime bosses, actually telling the Democrats in New Hampshire, don't vote in your primary. It's detrimental. How can voting for a president in the first in the nation presidential primary be detrimental to the process? But of course, Joe Biden is not on the ballot here, but someone who is Congressman Dean Phillips from Minnesota. He's got a fascinating background. He's actually quite an entrepreneur. He represents Minnesota's third congressional district in Congress. He's running as a Democrat on the ballot here in New Hampshire in the first in the nation presidential primary. I don't think Congressman Phillips thinks that voting here, if you're a Democrat or undeclared or independent, is detrimental to electing a president. Congressman, thanks for being with us. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an H. Oh, this is not a stretch for you at all, right? Well, you have some New England roots. I think you went to Brown University before going back to Minnesota, but you have a fascinating background on the business side. You do a lot in the community in Minnesota, but you're also fairly, respected member of Congress. Why are you running for president? Yeah. I say in my show, Congressman Dean Phillips, Minnesota, he'll tell you the website, and I want to know what kind of reaction you're getting from voters here because I think what the national media thinks is not really happening. I think there's an understory here. But when I heard this about this letter, Congressman, over the weekend, two things popped in my mind when I was out working out. One was it's almost like organized crime when they let the local business owners know that this is how they're going to do business and they're not going to be open or they're going to have to pay, listening to the bosses. For a party, the Democrat Party nationally talks a lot about free and open elections, easier same day registration, or voting early, all these things, and yet when it comes to electing their own nominee or nominating, it's almost like they want to anoint or muscle or pick and not have early voters have a say. Am I off base on that? Are you taking heat or pressure from the National Democrats for running here as a candidate as a Democrat? Wait. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Wh- Right. What's your website, Congressman, for people to learn more? You, you, right. You know, it's interesting, Congressman, before I let you go, because I think you're heading off to this college convention, I think at New England College, is, on the Republican side, it's kind of bizarre because you have the front runner, the former President Donald Trump, despite all the legal distractions, not even debating in these early debates, not even debating with the field. And then you have Joe Biden, the incumbent Democrat president, not even on the ballot here. They want the powers to be are saying right in Biden. I don't know how that's going to go. What kind of reaction are you getting? Are you feeling that you're going to get a lot of independent or Democrat declared voters voting for you versus writing in Joe Biden? Right. Dean 24, you said is the site. Now, and the last thing, do you think you're gonna surprise people? And do you think one of the reason why the DNC is turning up the heat with this letter? And I guess part of my last question for you, Congressman, is you know, Ray Buckley, the chairman, he's been a very effective executive chair for the Democrat state party here. He's known nationally, but the delegation here, led by Senator Shaheen and colleague of yours in Congress, I was hoping that I'd like to, hear more open protests from them on their own DNC saying don't vote in New Hampshire's primary could be detrimental. But I guess my question is, do you feel you're going to score a victory here on the 23rd? Is the Democrat choice? Wow. Well, it's very New Hampshire-esque, and it's pretty refreshing to hear. Congressman, best of luck. I'd love to get you back on the show at least one or two more times because you're hitting a bunch of independent business owners and people that across our region on a network of stations, 4 or 5 news talk stations. Like to get you back on Good Morning New Hampshire, the Pulse of an Age. Thank you. that's why we brought the snow from Minnesota. Thank you. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age. A couple of programming notes. The congressman referenced the primary on January 23rd quite a bit. We're going to be broadcasting live from the West Wing in Manchester, St. Ansem College, the Institute of Politics at St. A's on the day of the vote, on 23rd. And that evening, we'll have a great team of political analysts and all-stars that night going on about 7 p.m. live on our network as the votes start to come in. Also, before the primary, a week from this Wednesday, hard to believe, a week from this Wednesday, my 3-hour town hall at the Capitol Center for the Arts in Concord live, a studio audience there, Bank of New Hampshire stage. Seating is free but limited, so show up early, and we'd love to see you there. It's a beautiful facility. You can have a nice reception before 9 to noon. The state of mental health and addiction right here in New Hampshire. 3-hour town hall on mental health, and we'll invite the congressman and others there as well. And it's brought, and of course, we're working with our great partners at Granite Recovery Centers, NAMI, the DEA, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, InStride Health, and others. So tune in as normal, but live in Concord from the Capitol Center of the Arts, Wednesday morning, January 17th, the state of mental health and addiction right here. Tenny Mountain, the official ski area of New Hampshire today. They got some snow and had a great weekend, and they're enjoying this. Back on the Pulse of an Age. Good morning, New Hampshire. Jack Heath in a moment. back. We're going to take Josh McKelvin, former the political director, WMUR TV, McKelvin Strategies, playing a big role in this college convention at New England College and the only Henniker on earth. A little bit early, busy day. We just had Representative Dean Phillips on from Minnesota. What a refreshing interview, Josh. What a refreshing interview to have someone saying he's swimming against the powers to be in Washington in his own party to run for president. And unlike the DNC, he's not being threatened or bullied or intimidated. He doesn't think it's detrimental to actually run in the first in the nation presidential primary state. What an interview. And tell us about the college convention, Josh. Good morning. He, Josh, Representative Phillips equated it to something you'd see in Tehran, the letter. No, I'm not. He said he thought it was the most outrageous thing he's ever seen, a letter to voters in the first in the nation presidential primary state from one of the two major parties. Don't vote. What the hell is that? Well, hey, let let me. I want you to elaborate on that point, but hold on, you didn't hear it because you're at the convention. I asked Congressman Phillips, does he want it? Is he surprised he's not hearing more from his colleagues from New Hampshire in Congress, our delegation? And he said, Jack, they're afraid. It's like you're told by the powers to be in Washington, Democrats, Republicans, don't do this, don't do this, do that, and he goes, they're just afraid. I think that's a shame. Well, no, you know why? The whole thing's it's like they're in bed together, the national media, the powers to be in Washington. In the press corps today, if you cover the president, they punish you if you ask questions out of line, like, an honest question. Remember Sam Donaldson? He didn't care. He'd ask the question. Why wasn't the president here today? So this is beginning to be such a dumbed down process. It's just in New Hampshire, people should be fighting for our primary. It's something we should not take for granted. Phillips knew how many years old it is. I mean, he actually knew more about our primary than some of the Democrats here. Do you think he's going to do well in the primary in the 23rd versus Biden's write-in or not? What do you think, Josh? I I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. Well, you just said if you're a Biden fan. I don't know how many there are out there in New Hampshire. Have you seen a lot of Biden signs? Other than write-in, I've seen a few in Portsmouth. That's about it. All right, Josh. Good luck with the convention. Good luck with the debate. I know you're moderating that. We'll get you back on tomorrow morning. Thank you, Josh. Just a couple thoughts here. If you're just joining us, what is this all about? Well, in 15 days, New Hampshire votes first, first, real votes, not caucus goers, votes. And it's the race to the White House. Pretty big stuff. Okay. Now, yes, New Hampshire is a relatively small state population wise, or it's a small state. Okay. But it's going to set a tone and it's disrupted a lot over history and politics nationally more than it's made. In other words, if you win in New Hampshire, it doesn't mean you win the White House. But New Hampshire has disrupted the winner of the White House more than once, sent a surprise to the nation. Bill Clinton coming in second to the way Paul Song is. John McCain really shook up the process, winning it a few times. A guy named Jimmy Carter. I don't know if you've heard of these people. So this is New Hampshire disrupts a lot of times. A lot of times people came into New Hampshire. I remember Pete Wilson from California, governor, big entourage, 20, 30 security people fanned out. I remember, other uh, people from Texas and big states with big entourages. They came in, thought they're going to win New Hampshire, and something else happened. New Hampshire disrupts, and it's going to send a message. And that's why Donald Trump really has to win New Hampshire because he's had such a big lead here. Now, in fairness to Trump, he's been here. He's been on this show. He's done the rallies here. But on the Democrat side, Joe Biden is sending surrogates here today from his administration, but he's not on the ballot here. He's not coming here. Representative Dean Phillips. And by the way, as much as people in the national media or Democrats who want to anoint Joe Biden and not have you vote, not have you have a say. They just want to like organized crime. I'm sorry. What's the difference between organized crime and organized politics is that sometimes I don't see a difference. The bosses just say, just like an organized crime, you're getting this turf, you're doing this, you're not doing that. You're selling this, you're not selling that. You don't vote. We're gonna pick. We're gonna pick. We're gonna pick. Okay. So that's what's going on here. And it matters. And New Hampshire can send a message because if Joe Biden doesn't do well in the write in effort and Congressman Phillips, and by the way, the national media and the national Democrats, they like to diminish, discredit, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's crazy. He's out there. He's an outlier. He's running as independent. Don't pay attention to him. Marianne Williamson, Dean Phillips of Minnesota, who's heard of him? Well, he's a member of Congress. He's a very successful entrepreneur in the business world, by the way. Phillips family that he was adopted into his dad. I think his father, he's a Gold Star family, lost his dad. The Phillips distillery. He started an ice cream gelato business. Phillips is a very successful person. Became a member of Congress, Minnesota's third district. He's no pushover, and he has the gumption, the gall to run, defying his own party bosses. He's running here, and he's doing it. He's playing fair by the rules. He's doing it by the rules. He's running, he's campaigning, he's on the ballot. He's doing what you're supposed to do when you run for president. Meet people, go to people's living rooms, go to the diner, do the debates. We're getting away from all that, folks. And the reason why it matters a whole heck of a lot, and that's why some Democrats are hypocritical. Oh, they don't even like the Electoral College because, those little states have a say. They don't understand because they're such idiots, politically speaking. I'm sorry, they are. I don't know, fools. I don't know what uninformed. I could go on. They don't understand. That's the matrix of the representation in Congress. That's why we have two senators from New Hampshire. We're a small state. We don't have as many members of Congress, but it's proportional representation. And that's the Electoral College and the popular vote. They don't even understand how a president's they would like to do away with the Electoral College and see New York and California, big populated areas that tend to be run by, Democrats elect or anoint the next president. New Hampshire matters a whole hell of a lot, and so do the early states. So this Representative Phillips, pay attention. As Josh McKelvin said, why would you vote for someone who's not on the ballot and basically hurt your own state's electoral integrity? Just some commentary, 603-228-2080. I don't think voting is detrimental. That's something you hear from a third world country. Maybe Chavez didn't want you to vote in Venezuela, but anyway, or Tehran. Just some commentary as well, but those were the congressman's words. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Back with Doug Tengman, a quick look at the economy. Mike Dennehy on deck on a pack show for you. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Back in a moment. J Dog, you have a traffic update. I know there was a situation on a 101 East this morning, right around, I think it was exit 4, backup with some accidents, still some side roads. They're still gonna get them cleaned up, but you also have one in here locally. All right, and the sweepstakes or the revolving door in the National Football League before we get to Doug Tangden. We'll come back with you in a moment. I want to spend some time in the NFL. Already starting. More to come. And of course, Bill Belichick will see if he meets today with Robert, as he says, Robert Kraft. Yeah, well, no, he said they're going to meet today. Going to talk today. All right. Doug Tegden, Worldwide Market Perspective, going a little bit early as well. Have more with New Hampshire's primary 15 days to go. Doug, I guess 2024, we're trying to get a handle on it all. Good morning. I'm okay, thanks. I hope you're doing well. What did you get? What did you get? What did you get in the Upper Valley? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it was a good coastal storm, about at least 14, 15 inches in Portsmouth and southern Maine on the coast. Yeah, yep. Uh, all right. Well, I talked with someone yesterday over the weekend. Can't figure out a lot of people who kind of got used to working from home during the craziness of the last few years. I don't even like to say the C word, all the crazy policies that went with that. Kind of want to keep working from home. Employers are trying to get people back into traditional jobs. People looking at the gig economy, and a lot of I can't. A lot of people can't get their handle on how are people making money, where are they making money, and interest rates aren't gonna go up, I know that, maybe come down in 4 or 5 months a little bit, but real estate's definitely slowed down, but it's also time of year, so get what's going on? Yeah. Well, there's some, look it. I used to say, and before it was cool, I couldn't have been a corporate commuter, and I used to watch when I'd have a meeting unrelated to a corporate type role. If any, it used to be any time in the afternoon in New Hampshire, if you were down around Londonderry, Derry, Salem on 93 at around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, the traffic coming north was just headlights of just people who worked in Boston or Massachusetts and lived in Londonderry or Southern New Hampshire because they wanted to live here. And conversely, in the morning, if you had a meeting anywhere down around Boston, for example, or in Boston, you had to leave at 5 in the morning because 93 South going the same way was just backed up because it was so stressful. And so you look at places like Atlanta where the traffic stinks. That's putting it nicely. Washington, D.C. and the Beltway. I have nothing against people not wanting to, have a heart attack because they're in the car 2 hours a day in gridlock. So sometimes, working from home makes a lot of sense, but the employers, some companies traditionally do need people there in the building and in the company to operate. Yeah. Hey, one Yeah. 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 Hey, oh, if I do it right, other than, funerals and weddings, I won't. Hey, Doug, before I let you go, a listener just asked me, uh, we've had Dr. Vic on a lot of time about this. He's actually written books about it before. It was cool. AI, artificial intelligence. Have you scanned this, no pun intended, and looked at this in terms of implication on the next 2 to 3, 4 years on, job, displacement, if you will, from AI positions, whether it's an attorney or paralegal scrubbing a legal document search in Delaware, AI can do it. Some business reporting, media, a lot of different roles. AI, you can't. Technology is a double-edged sword. There might be some hurt, but there might be some gain. But you can't put it off. In other words, technology comes and there's little you can do but adapt. I mean, that's why Microsoft, Elon Musk, he's been looking at this for years. What do you think on the private sector and jobs? Yeah, 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 yep. Double edge. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, Doug. Thank you. Worldwide market perspective a little bit early. Thank you, Doug. As I said, parts of the coast, New Hampshire, Maine, more than a foot, places like Portsmouth. And we get a big swing tomorrow night into Wednesday. It's kind of weird. Wednesday morning's going to be, temperatures will be closer to 50, mild, heavy rain tomorrow night into Wednesday morning with winds. So that's a little bit of a flip flop. We'll have more on that. NFL, big day for the National Football League. And of course, all you heard about a very listless, snowy Foxborough yesterday, and the Patriots, according to what I see, Zappy about 80 yards. I know it was sloppy out there, but the Jets managed 17 points, Patriots just three. Maybe it was an indicative a barometer or a sign when Robert Kraft, the owner, got up to leave his box a little bit early with about a minute or less left in the game. And of course, Bill Belichick has been battling the same cold everyone's been having on the sidelines, kind of, trotted off with the hoodie on and the face mask for the cold and the snow up, as he said. The congratulatory stuff to the Jets coach, but he did give Aaron Rodgers. He went out of his way to find Rodgers. You could tell he's looking for someone to give him a hug out of respect, the two of them. But Belichick, at the end of the press conference, you could tell he's a little bit emotional or a lot emotional. The broadcast was much and less about the Jets and the Patriots, more about his accomplishments, 6 Super Bowls, all the conference championships, how great Bill Belichick is and was. The big question is he done coaching, period? Not just with the Patriots. He said he's going to meet today or talk this week with Robert, as he always does. He said Robert at the end of the season. Not much else to talk about here, but the Fox broadcast, Jay Glazer, they said throughout the broadcast that it's already done deal. Belichick and Kraft are just going to talk about how to make it amicable and agreeable for him to move on. Question is, if he does, and you already see that Washington Commanders job open up this morning, will Belichick coach again? Would he go to like Washington, for example, or who would come to the Patriots? Would it be where they trade for Mike Vrabel? J Dog's out there. I didn't hear this at all yesterday. J Dog's out on a J Dog limb. He's actually saying a very local name out of Manchester, the Ohio State head coach. You're saying the Coach Day might he really? You think it makes sense? Because Michigan tonight with the national championship. Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break. Back with the great Dennehy talking more about the DNC. They're the Democrat bosses nationally, sending a letter to Ray Buckley, who's the executive chair of the New Hampshire Democrat Party, saying it. One of the lines that's made news is saying it's two of the DNC bosses. One's last name, ironically, I remember I read about was Roosevelt, saying it's detrimental for your Democrats in New Hampshire to vote in the primary. Detrimental to the election process. Detrimental to vote in the first primary on detrimental? I thought it was good to vote in America. Back on the pulse of an age in a moment. You know, the one of the themes on the show I come back to from time to time is we is Michael Dennehy's going to be checking in. J Dog. Let me know when the great Michael's on. And by the way, we're going to have great political analysts and all stars. St. Anselm College, the West Wing, on the evening of the primary. So we'll be live that evening. We're going to be on live in the evening. In fact, Dennehy Belay, one of our as our presenting sponsor, I think Michael will be joining us in a bit if he's running around. But before we bring him on, I just I had to comment because of hypocrisy. I see it all the time, right? I guess it's just a cool thing. That's the cool thing to be hypocritical. And what I mean by that is, Congressman. What a refreshing interview this morning live. Dean Phillips on the show. I have never met him, but he's a congressman from Minnesota. What a refreshing interview. By the way, he actually knows. I don't know if you knew this. He actually knows where he is. I mean, I did anyone see the Valley Forge, Pennsylvania video of President Biden at the end of his speech? Deer in the headlights. And I'm not being look at I don't I'm not looking forward to becoming 81 years old, but I'm also not running for president in my late 70s. Okay. So I don't want the job for anything. But my point is, anyone see the video? Media just looks right over it. Jill Biden, the first lady, basically had to like go up, take him by the hand, and walk him off the stage. You don't think our adversaries see the same video? I'm being totally serious today. You don't think Vladimir Putin and his intelligence people see that? Do you don't think Kim in North Korea? You don't think Tehran sees that? I'm serious. They're like the end of it's sad. And that's why these national polls, most Democrats, young Democrats say too old, too confused for Joe Biden 4 more years. I personally don't think he gets to the starting line of the Democrats convention. I've been saying that for months. But Congressman Phillips on the show this morning, Michael Dennehy Boy Group, by the way, I think he's going to be one of our presenting sponsor of our primary coverage, one of our political all-stars as we broadcast live from the West Wing on Tuesday, the 23rd. Dennehy joining us. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of Vintage. Good morning, Michael. Do you do you remember, Michael? I'm I know my shortcomings in life, but I know my memory is still pretty good. Do you remember near the end of Ronald Reagan's term how venomous the national media was questioning if Nancy Reagan was he all there? Was he all there? Was he losing it? Do you remember the energy and the passion around that? Where's the lead of the national news is was the president close to passing out today at the end of his speech? Why didn't the president of our country, the United States commander in chief, know where he was or where he was going? Where was the question of the White House on that? They're more worried about the Secretary of Defense in a hospital. And this is a little bit goofy, you know, elective surgery, what's going on there. But what about where are the questions? Is the president mentally his faculties? Does he know where he is? Because at the end of that speech, he didn't seem to like know what was going on. That's a little more than concerning. Maybe not. Why isn't that a national news story? Well, I disagree. I think Vice President Harris knows where she is. I mean, you can point about other things, but Joe Biden, I'm talking about this is the president, and there are times you want let's get back to this letter though from the DNC to Ray Buckley, the head of the Democrats here. It's detrimental. Don't encourage your Democrats there or undeclared or independent voters to vote in your primary. Don't tell them to vote. Be a good person. Do as we say. Don't encourage them to vote. It's detrimental to what we want. What the heck is that? Yeah. Or electing a president, your president. You let the party bosses. It reminds me of work. I said to Representative Phillips, I don't know if you heard the interview. What a refreshing interview. He said, I said, wouldn't you like to hear more from our own delegation, your colleagues about this letter? And he goes, Jack, they're afraid. They're in Washington. You're told by the party bosses what to do, and yet he bucked them, and he's running on the ballot. But what he says is true. It's very refreshing. He said, "Look, I'm running because you need to run for president. You need to meet voters. You need to actually put your name on the ballot." And he goes, "That's the problem with both major parties." I mean, to his point, Donald Trump is not debating. He wants to be anointed, but at least he's on the ballot. At least he's running. Although some states don't want him on the ballot, Maine and whatever. But the point is, on the Democrat side, how hypocritical to basically tell your voters in New Hampshire don't vote. I think you might be turning up the heat based on that interview this morning. Do you think they're worried that Biden's right enough for that it might be embarrassing? Is that part of their concern why they wrote that letter, you think? Wow. What about Michael? I've got a few moments left. Michael Denny Belay Group. It's January 8th, as you know. So my UVM math would tell me it was about what, 15 days, right? Just about 2 weeks to the primary. Let's talk on the Republican side. The big story at the end of the week was Nikki Haley. I bet you middle of this week we're going to get some new polling. It'll be good or bad, but new polling that will show where that race is at. What's it going to show here in New Hampshire between Trump and Nikki Haley? Is this still to lose? Does he win Iowa big, the caucus, which is different than the votes here? Does he win New Hampshire and Iowa and go on to the nomination, or is this thing up in the air? And then who votes? Yeah. All right, Michael. Great stuff. Enjoy your Monday. Get some shoveling out there. Get the walks done, and the horse stall for your horse. Thank you, Michael. All right. Hey, reminder, you get some perks listening to the show. Our great friends at Auto Fair, sponsors of our New Hampshire State Police segment, heard every Thursday morning. Auto Fair Nissan in Stratham. That's where I go for my pickup truck. Auto Fair Nissan in Stratham. Great location, great dealership. Go in, new or used vehicle, $500 off. $500 off any new great deal you get by just saying Jack, 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 new or used vehicle, an additional $500, an additional. Where often do you get $500? You go. That's a couple times at the grocery store at least. Hey Google, hey Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age. Back in a moment.